News time is 8 minutes after 8 o'clock on this Wednesday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 8 o'clock newscast streaming to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agents in Clinton. Longtime local leader and current Clinton Mayor Pro-Tem Tom Edmunds is in the ICU. Mayor Edmunds was absent from Tuesday night's Clinton City Council meeting, and acting mayor for the night, John Weiss, informed the community the longtime public servant was in intensive care in Peoria, doing better as of Tuesday.
Tom is in the hospital. He is in intensive care in Peoria, and I just really want to send out best wishes to his family and him, and hopefully we pray that he gets better in a hurry. He had fluid on his lungs and just had different things going on, but he was doing better today. We did get some reports, so hopefully he will be doing better. So we'll do that.
Residents have likely noticed distinct odors and water quality changes in the last few weeks. Commissioner Weiss reminds of the things happening at the water treatment plant, and some of those issues were anticipated.
If you read Facebook and you look at things, you've been seeing some concerns from people about the water quality. I've been saying for the last month about every meeting that we were having equipment worked on. There's going to be some times in between that it would be different. We also have a well that's down right now. It's going to be 3 weeks before we can get all the materials to put that back together, so we're getting water out of the other two. It does change. Even getting it out of the same aquifer and just a few hundred yards apart, it does change the water that goes into the plant. But we also got the CO2 up and running. It's been running for almost a week now, the way it should be. It should be clearing it out. A few of the people have been talking about the smell of chlorine or bleach. We don't understand why that is. We've been getting samples within a block of a couple of those people, and it's either right on the money or it's a little low even of chlorine. So we're going to have to do a little more checking on that, but I just want people to understand that during this period of time that we're getting things rebuilt and everything new out there, that there is going to be some water that's not going to be very becoming. It's all good. It is all been tested. It's nothing that will hurt or harm, but during that period, washing white clothes and stuff, it's going to be kind of like in the old days when you don't want to do that and get the iron built up, or you want to use an iron remover. And hopefully it won't be as bad as any that we had in the past, but I will hope that we'll get it on the city's website. We've got the guys that work at the plant that gets on Facebook, and we'll give out information on when it gets closer, when they're here to change this lime silo out and to change all that. Hopefully we can keep everybody apprised of what's going on and when. So I can only just reiterate that it is going to be fluctuating, it is going to be different, but we will get it back together as quickly as possible, and it'll be back to being the soft water and the clear water as soon as we can possibly get it there. But I can't really tell you why certain people are having those issues. We're going to go by and check their houses, see if there's any changes that they've done in the house, try to come up with a solution to find out why that is doing that. Because the guys are very good about trying to correct problems, and if there is one. So.
Also Tuesday night, Commissioner Ken Buchanan told the community brush pickup scheduled for this week will be put off until next week because they've got a lot going on with the leaf cleanup, and the Christmas decorations have started going up around the downtown area. Hunters have been chomping at the bit, ready for the first firearm deer season of 2024, and the wait is about over. On the WHOW Morning Show Tuesday, Illinois Department of Natural Resources Conservation Police Captain John Williamson told Regional Radio this weekend is the Super Bowl for his department.
Kind of our Super Bowl this weekend. You know, we kind of ramp up with the opening of dove and season early in September and kind of build up. We've got Upland Game open the first weekend in November. waterfowl opened a week before that, so it's kind of this build-up, and this is kind of our Super Bowl of hunting this weekend with everybody being out. As they call them, the Orange Army is going to be hitting the field looking to fill their tag. When we get the question the most about is we've talked about numerous times, is the new rifle law that's came effect in Illinois. So straight wall calibers are legal in rifles, that sort of thing, still single shot. That's pretty much the newest thing and thing we get the question about the most. Our thing we always worry about the most are hunting accidents. We talk about it all the time, and most of our hunting accidents come around tree stands. Again, the tree stand safety talk we do every year. It seems like September, October-ish. Is that still there? If this is the first time you're going to a tree stand, make sure it's good. Make sure you're wearing your safety harness once you get in the stand in case something happens. Though we just had 2 tree stand accidents this last weekend. So,
wow.
Southern Illinois, I know I think both those were in Southern Illinois.
Property disputes during the hunting season are another common occurrence for authorities. While some landowners may be at odds over differences of opinion, Captain Williamson encourages hunters to have agreement with neighbors over retrieving deer on another property and communicate with landowners over those things.
Unfortunately, we run into situations where landowners just don't get along. I mean, there's been for years, and because of deer hunting and everything else, and it could be because of their cow getting out of their pasture. I've had that before, that they wouldn't let anybody back on. But a lot of times, even if you have those issues with other landowners, give us a call. Let us have a chance of talking to the other landowner, and maybe they'll let us go with you on there. But we can't just go on there to retrieve a deer. We've still got to get permission, the permission of the landowner, that sort of thing. But if we can help, we will. But when it comes up to a shotgun weekend like this and we're really busy, we may not have time to do stuff like that. But we'll do what we can. But the biggest thing you can do is talk before season. So if you're hunting close to a property line, make sure you talk to the landowner well before and come up with an agreement that, hey, if one goes on your property, I'll let you on. If one goes on my property, I'll let you on, and work it out from there. Deer most of the time don't just fall right where they're shot.
Gotcha.
So there's usually a tracking job involved, and sometimes they can go up to a mile or two, depending on where they're hit.
Captain Williamson encourages motorists to be mindful of the increased deer activity on rural roadways. The hunting season has the deer moving, but it's also the time of year for deer ruts. Every year, the Illinois State Board of Education, or ISB, grades schools on their performance and how they rank throughout the state. Adam Ibbotson is the superintendent of Maroa-Forsyth schools and explains although the report cards may not always paint the whole picture, he's very proud of his district.
First of all, I acknowledge that this is a one-time thing, thinking about testing. That doesn't tell the whole picture of what we do on a daily basis. But it is important. There's an accountability that goes with it. And we take a lot of pride in what we do at Maroa-Forsyth and what we do to educate our kids. And when we look at this data, it's important for us to analyze it and look at it and see kind of where we stand and stack up against peers. So I'm really proud of what the district has done. I can't take credit for it because I'm in my first year here, but I am really proud of where we're at. We have 3 schools in the district, and we had 2 schools that received an exemplary designation, which is the highest designation that you can get in the state.
ISB takes multiple variables into account when grading schools. Ibbotson notes they break it down subject by subject and student growth. He says those growth targets they're trying to reach can be challenging, but he believes it's a good way to keep schools accountable.
Those growth targets are tough, but I do think that there's an accountability piece to that. So if I'm scoring, let's say for round numbers, a 500 as a 6th grader, well, there could be a 6th grader in New Trier who scored a 500, and I'm going to be compared against that kid to see how much I grow into the next year. So if the New Trier kid goes to 650 in the next second year for his score, but my score only goes up by 5 to 575, I'm not going to have a highest growth percentile as the kid in New Trier does. So differences in school and differences in educational experiences, that's a part that we have at our elementary school and middle school. The high school doesn't.
A common issue on the report card is chronic absenteeism. Ibbotson says they graded high in that category.
We did really well in terms of our chronic absenteeism rate compared around the area.
Get more information and this year's school report card data at mfschools.net. 17 minutes after 8 o'clock on this Wednesday, we streamed to Facebook and YouTube this morning, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. A look at local sports comes your way next. Monticello on a revenge tour in this Class 3A playoff run. That's next.
The old way of doing things makes sense for some things, like a hot dog at the game. old ways don't make sense if you expect more yield out of your acres. Because there's a new way to unlock the full potential of your fields, and it starts when you plant Enlist corn. With 4 robust trait tolerances, glyphosate and glufosinate, plus 2,4-D choline and FOP, it unleashes ultimate weed control flexibility with multiple modes of action to fight weeds. See what's possible for your fields at enlist.com/corn.
8,000.
With SRN Sports, I'm Jason Walker. Cleveland Cavaliers no longer undefeated. Boston Celtics taming the Cavaliers 120-117. Cleveland had started off the season 15-0. Elsewhere in the NBA, Brooklyn 116, Charlotte 115, Denver over Memphis 122-110. Dallas clobbered New Orleans 132-91. San Antonio 110, Oklahoma City 104, and the Lakers defeated Utah 124-118. In the National Hockey League, your winners Tuesday night, Tampa Bay, Edmonton, Winnipeg. Also winning, Minnesota, Anaheim, Calgary, and the New York Rangers winning. This is SRN Sports. In college basketball hoops, well, you got 6 major games. All of these are ranked teams. Winning Tuesday night, Kansas, UConn, Marquette, Kentucky, Cincinnati, and Florida. By the way, Marquette, ranked number 15, defeated number 6 Purdue. That was 76-58. In baseball, a combination of hurricane damage to Tropicana Field as well as political delays on financing means it's highly unlikely the Tampa Bay Rays' planned new stadium will be ready for the 2028 season, if at all. Meanwhile, the Rays will play their 2025 season at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa. That's the home of the New York Yankees minor league team there. And also, baseball news, Milwaukee's Pat Murphy, the National League Manager of the Year, winning in the American League, Cleveland's Stephen Vaught. This is SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. It wasn't lost on Monticello football coach Coley Welter. His team could face a handful of opponents that had been thorns in their side in the postseason in his time at Monticello. First, it was DeCoin, who the Sages were 0-2 against in the playoffs in the last 5 years. Then it was Williamsville, who beat Monticello in 2012 and throttled this year's seniors in freshman football. Most recently, a thrilling overtime win over Benton avenged a disappointing loss in 2022. Coach Welter was thrilled to come out of the Benton overtime game with a win because he feels his team was not built for overtime.
I was kind of happy they went for 2 there. I knew they were going to make the extra point, but we're not really built for overtime, and so I was like, let's roll it and see what happens, and let's pray the heck we get a stop, and we did. And
Coach, who made the tackle?
I have no idea. I just said that.
There was a whole bunch of them down there.
Yeah, and the sad thing is, as was the game, as happened throughout the game, we made good initial contact, but that quarterback ran hard, and I was like, okay, we made contact, but is he going to carry us in the end zone? For a second there, I thought he was, but thank goodness he did not.
Before needing a stop on a 2-point conversion for the win in overtime, Monticello led Benton 14-0, and it was looking like the Sages were on its way to another runaway win, especially after a 98-yard pass from Ike Young to Carter Foran put Monticello up 20-0, but the score was called back, and Coach Welter felt that was a pivotal point in the game.
They did a great job. They went to that in 2021 when we played them, and we thought they can't do that against us this year. We're a little bit better up front, and when we went up 21-0 and that got called back, it seemed like we just got discombobulated from there. Obviously we're in our own one, so that was difficult, but then we give up the safety, and it just seemed like we could not get in a rhythm from there. And I don't know if that touchdown stands. I don't know, maybe we're sitting here and it was an easy win, but it wasn't. And to their credit, they changed. and they made it very difficult for us to find windows to throw the ball. And even with like a two-man front, and it's a two-man front, but they had linebackers, just all over, kind of an amoeba defense, and we didn't play well. I didn't coach well, but the bottom line is we got through.
Despite the adversity of getting a pivotal touchdown called back, then surrendering a safety and a 14-0 lead, Coach Welter credited his team with grinding through it all and coming up big at the end of the game.
Yeah, I think we hung tough mentally, just breakdown after breakdown. I mean, it's been a while. We've been running pretty smoothly for a while now, and I mean, even on that fourth down play, we lined up wrong. We just had so many alignment errors that we haven't had in a while. We just had so many mistakes there, and like I said, then we got discombobulated. Their defense caused us some fits. I didn't call. I didn't really adapt very well myself, and. But to your point, we just kind of, and defensively we're on our heels. I mean, they were kind of moving the ball at will from the second quarter on, but, we forced the field goal, and then we just did enough. We just did enough. We got the big turnover on the fumble recovery, which was huge.
Right.
We didn't think we thought the way our defensive line was playing, we wouldn't get a lot of like midline type plays, and the quarterback came down and then bounced outside. We were sucking in pretty good. A couple times we bottled him up, and I give him credit. He's a 3-year starter, and he played tough. But yeah, they bounced some, and then we got ourselves stuck inside, and we blitzed probably a little bit more than we have all year because they run a lot of 5 receiver routes, and we can't let the quarterback have that kind of time. So we had to blitz a little bit, which put us in some bad predicaments sometimes, which allowed him to get some running lanes. And that goes to, again, I just don't feel like we were on our game today. I mean, we get bailed out on a hold. It's 3rd and 17, and then here we are letting the receiver get behind us on 3rd and 17 again, and we're too veteran for that, And, like I said, I told the kids, and it starts with me, but it was not pretty by any means, and the bottom line is we survived.
Now it's off to host Tolono Unity Saturday afternoon in Class 3A semifinal action. The Rockets have had the Sages' number often over the years in both the postseason and the regular season. The winner advances to the state finals next Friday in Normal. Semifinal football this weekend, Class 1A, undefeated Leroy plays host to undefeated Lena Winslow Saturday at 2 o'clock. In Class 2A, 11-1, Maroa-Forsyth travels to Johnston City, who's also 11-1 for a Saturday 3:30 matchup. In Class 4A, it's a matchup of improbables. 9-3 Mount Zion travels to Normal U-High for a Saturday 7 o'clock matchup. The Clinton Lady Maroons kicked off the girls' basketball season with a 58-28 win over Olympia, continuing a decade-long tradition at the high school. Clinton Athletic Director Matt Keppel says they are in the 11th year of the Turkey Tussle Holiday Tournament. It started in participation with Riverton High School, but is now hosted entirely by Clinton.
Well, sometimes it gets to be a little more of a headache than you'd like. We used to share the tournament with Riverton. Well, they dropped out a couple years ago, so they used to host half of it, and we hosted half of it.
Gotcha.
Well, now we're hosting the whole enchilada. So, 16 games in 6 days, that's a lot. So we like it. Our kids get 4 home games. Obviously, we like it. The crowd's not bad for the first game of the year.
Absolutely.
On a Monday night,
Right.
But, it's fun for our girls to get 4 home games start the year. Once it gets going, we've got great people that work and help us out. So It kind of runs itself. Once you get the teams that are locked in, it kind of runs itself.
One of the major benefits of hosting a tournament is getting the 4 home games, as Keppel mentioned. He says they'll continue to host the event as long as there are teams interested in participating.
Well, one is you get 4 home games, as opposed to going on the road for 4 home games. No matter where you're at, it's still a road game. If you get 4 home games, you get 4 home games. I guess we'll host as long as we keep finding teams that want to come. So you're always going to have teams that want to get out or do the things. This year we were fortunate enough to get the Champaign Centennial, and then Educator MacArthur came in. So it's a little bigger school. It was a 2A, 1A tournament. Now it's kind of creeped into the 3A, a little bit, but kind of local. The 2 of them are out of Educator, which is not far. Champagne's not too far.
Right.
So it's going pretty good.
Keppel notes one of the major challenges of a large tournament is finding officials. He says it's not easy, so they do everything they can to treat their officials well.
Luckily, we've got a couple guys that help us do that from time to time, especially this week where you're hosting 16 games.
Yeah.
Officials are hard to find for every sport right now. So
definitely.
That's why we try to take care of them. We feed them well. We take care of them, give them some good stuff, and they keep coming back. So.
The Lady Maroons will match up against Educator Eisenhower tonight at 8 o'clock. Tune in for Clinton boys basketball on Monday as the Maroons open their season against Buffalo Tri-City, tipping off at 5 o'clock from the Mount Pulaski Thanksgiving Holiday Tournament. Kirill Kaprizov scored a pair of third period goals, and Jonas Broden and Ryan Hartman scored to help Minnesota down St. Louis 4-2 Tuesday night. Philip Gustafson had 22 saves for the Wild. Scott Pirinovich and Jake Neighbor scored. Jordan Bennington made 24 saves for the Blues, who saw Robert Thomas return to the lineup after missing 12 games with a fractured right ankle. While Thomas returned to the lineup, the lack of depth continued to show on defense as St. Louis was playing without defensemen Nick Leddy, Philip Broberg, and Pierre-Olivier Joseph. The Blues will host San Jose on Thursday night. Alex Killorn had a goal and an assist in the third period as the Anaheim Ducks beat the Chicago Blackhawks 3-2 Tuesday night for their season-high third straight win. Killorn tied it at 2 on a well-placed backhander at 5:10, then made a perfect pass to Leo Carlson for a backdoor tap-in at 10:22. Pavel Mintikov scored for Anaheim, which has won 4 of 5 overall. Trevor Zegras had 2 assists, and John Gibson had 18 saves. Chicago lost for the 5th time in 6 games. Connor Bedard set up each of Jason Dickinson's 2 goals, and Arvid Soderblom made 21 stops. Chicago hosts Florida Thursday. Get sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.